All right, let's start. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Manhattan Community Board 3 Transportation, Public Safety, Environment Committee meeting for October. Today is October 13, 2020, 6:34 p.m. My name is Paul Rangel. I am the chair of the committee. We have a relatively light agenda tonight. But first things first, we're going to start off with any objections to the minutes from September from the committee. I'm going to take our radioactive silence as a good thing, and we can move on. And Wendy, who will be doing the minutes for tonight, will do roll call.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. Paul Rangel?
Here.
Michelle Coopersmith?
Yes.
Lee Berman?
Yes.
David Crane?
Yes.
Felicia Cruikshank?
Present.
Wendy Lee, present. Ellen Lowe?
Yes.
Yeah. Tariq Ramos?
I don't see Tariq.
Tariq? Okay. All right.
Is
Thank
that
you
it?
very much.
That's it? Okay, Thank you. All right, so we have a couple of agenda items tonight. We have a presentation from the, I guess, rideshare moped company, Revel.
Yes.
So I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but we'll get to that in a second. Anybody who's a guest, please sign into the chat room today. And if you want to speak on any agenda item, please make a note of that in the chat room. Please note who you are and what your affiliation is with the community in the chat room when you get a chance. Please do so now, as the chat room will be recorded and downloaded for attendance purposes. The chat room should only be used for attendance purposes and any technical issues that we may have, but not to have any side meetings or anything of that sort. The rules and regulations are up there for everyone to see, and if anybody does have questions for Revel, we will take them at a later point, but the committee members will get the first opportunity to do so. The Department of Transportation, Jennifer Long, is on today, and I know she wants to do the presentation to start on behalf of DOT for Revel.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all for having us. I'm Jennifer Leung from DOT Manhattan Commissioner's Office. I am also joined by my colleagues, Assistant Commissioner for Education and Outreach, Kim Wiley-Schwartz, and also from our policy team, William Carey. I'll provide a short intro before turning it over to Revel. So at the end of August, DOT announced the Revel, a moped sharing company, would be able to resume its operation on an interim basis. This was agreed by the company, who will be closely monitoring its operations and also institute new and stricter safety protocols that includes rider training, account security, a new suspension policy, helmet use measures, and also restricted hours operation. In addition to Revel, they will be also providing data to us on trips, incidents, and also suspensions as part of the interim agreement. Currently, DOT is developing some permanent regulations for the shared moped services, and we will initiate the rulemaking process this fall. This also includes an opportunity for public input. We will definitely keep the community boards updated on this. We will be on for the remainder of the time as Revel give their presentation. That's all I have for now. So Carol, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hi, everyone. My name is Carol Antunes. I'm the Community Affairs Manager at Revel. I'm going to briefly share my screen here. Doesn't seem like I have the capability to do so.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to have to make you a co-host. Give me a quick second. I'll share the screen. Give me 1 second. You should be able to share it now. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you so much. Revel was founded in 2018. We're a micromobility company based in New York City. We operate a fleet of 3,000 electric vehicles in New York City. They're fully street legal. Each moped has a DMV issued license plate. It requires a driver's license in order to operate, and each vehicle is throttled at 30 miles per hour. There are absolutely no bridges, bike lanes allowed on a Revel, and helmets and insurance is provided with every single ride. Because they're so small, they're about 200 pounds. It's really easy to park Revels in the city of New York, which we all know can be a nightmare. I myself live in Astoria, and on a good day, it takes me 15 minutes to find parking, sometimes 45 minutes. Fairly affordable, only $1 to unlock, and then 35 cents per minute. Very simple model. And like I said, they're fully electric, so emissions free and also pretty quiet, which is great. Revel's a local employer. Since the very beginning, when we had our pilot with 68 mopeds in Brooklyn, we decided we're never going to do the gig economy. So every single person that works at Revel is an employee with benefits, the same benefits that Frank, our CEO, has access to, that I have access to. We hire locally and build relationships with workforce partners like St. Nick's Alliance and ACE, and really provide in-depth training in electric vehicle technology. From the very beginning, we've been all about access. So even back in 2018 with the 68 mopeds, we still had our access program, which essentially offers a 40% discount to anybody who's eligible for or participating in any local, state, or federal assistance program. We have about 2,500 riders using on that membership, and we've saved about $200,000, and those are real dollar that has been saved by people on the program. During the height of COVID back in March, April, May, we provided 9 weeks of free rides to anybody that was in the healthcare sector. We had 3,000 folks on that program who rode 130,000 miles. We partnered with the restaurants in New York City who at that time were struggling to provide them with the vehicles free of use so they can shift to that delivery only model that we saw back in about April this year. This is just a visual representation of Revel's growth over the last year. So when we first started, we were very Brooklyn centric. We then moved to Astoria on Long Island City. Then you can see here September and June, really just the network itself expanded. A lot of that expansion happened earlier this year. We realized that we had these incredible vehicles, and we had just like this pandemic going on in New York, and we wanted to do our part. So in an effort to cover 57 hospitals in the 4 boroughs, we opened up a large section of northern Manhattan with pockets in the Lower East Side, the South Bronx, and just covered a little bit more of Brooklyn and Queens. And this brings me to safety. Like Jennifer said, this year we experienced our first fatalities, and this really shook our company to the core. We had been working on safety for months before that, always kind of iterating, making sure that we have the safest platform and system on the market. So after we experienced that fatality, we decided to just temporarily pause our own service. So we took the mopeds off the road, and we huddled as a group, 300 employees, just focused on safety. And we came back with really strong requirements. So the first thing that is now required with every single ride is taking a helmet selfie. So before, if you downloaded the app, you know that you open up the app, it's a free floating system. So you find your moped, you walk to it, you have 15 free minutes to find your moped, and you would hit start ride and you were good to go. We changed that flow a little bit. So now when you hit start ride, only the helmet case in the back will unlock. So then you'll put on the helmet, you'll take the selfie, you submit that, somebody will review it, and then you're good to go. And this also applies if you have a passenger. So if you have a passenger, they also need to submit that selfie. Really, one of the largest things was just creating a comprehensive safety training. So we designed a training that's 42 questions long. So it's 21 questions, they repeat twice. And it really quizzes our users on everything from helmet requirements to just traffic rules, really reminding folks not to ride on sidewalks, bike lanes, highways. And the whole point of this safety training is not to fail our riders, but really to educate them on what the rules of the road are, what the policies are, what New York State law is. And we've seen just great success. The feedback is constantly like, hey, this is super thorough, much harder than my DMV test, really happy with this. As part of our agreement with DOT, we also just implemented a couple of other initiatives. The first being just shutting down service overnight from midnight to 5 a.m. We found that late at night, sometimes, riders who are inexperienced are more likely to get in trouble. So we're just shutting down the service temporarily, really increasing our lesson capacity. We've always had free lessons out of our Gowanus HQ. We now have lessons in the 4 boroughs, 7 days a week. And anybody, if you are a Revel rider, anybody can just sign up. They're totally free. You can take up to 5 different classes at 0 cost. If you take a lesson, we're also providing folks with a $65 ride credit, which essentially means you get 3 free hours of riding time. And then just really hitting riders with safety messaging. We have Link NYC ads, a safety content series on social media, and also just increasing the community's ability to report any sort of bad behavior. What we realized with COVID is that bad behavior just kind of increased across the board, not only with our users. So we now have a community reporting tool. So anybody, absolutely anybody with a phone can download the Revel app. You don't have to go through the sign up process, but you will be able to use that reporting tool. It takes about a minute to complete. You select the sort of behavior that you're witnessing. Maybe it's someone without a helmet, or someone not stopping at a red light, or someone driving on the wrong way. You select the infraction, you let us know the time, the date, and if you have a photograph or video, or it's not necessary, but it's an option. And just with your email, you submit that report, and then someone on our team looks at that. So I know I've been talking for a while, so I'll stop here and allow for questions.
Thank you, Carol. So committee, does anybody have questions for Carol or for DOT in regard to Revel?
Got an observation, not so much a question.
Mhm.
One, thank you for coming and presenting. I'd have to say that at least 90% of the Revel riders that I've witnessed over the last 7 to 10 days have been riding on sidewalks, through parks, going through stop signs, going against traffic, stop signs and red lights, etc. So to see that this your new safety functions and features have been implemented doesn't really seem to have put a stop to the bad actors that are endangering riders, as well as pedestrians and cyclists and everybody else on the road.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to hear that that's been your experience the last week or so. One thing I didn't mention is that we have automated a lot of our alert systems. So using GPS technology, we can now detect when someone is entering a green space, a bridge, a highway, or riding down the wrong way street for over 0.1 mile, which is essentially less than a city block. So any behavior of that nature, because we have GPS technology, what we can do is we get an automatic notification that account is automatically suspended and the user's off the road. But it happens immediately after that ride ends, so it doesn't happen in real time. But I assure you, if you've seen anyone riding through a park, that person is off the platform.
I would love to see, whether through you or through DOT, I'd love to see those statistics. You know, whether it's just in CB3, but I'd love to see, you know, for a period of time, whether next week or the week after, or I'd love to have access to those types of statistical analysis. I think that could certainly help us in the future. Thank you.
This is Will Carey from New York City DOT. We also want to encourage all members of the subcommittee and the board and members of the public to use the community reporting tool that Revel mentioned. I myself have used it several times, particularly if you can get a photograph of the vehicle, including the license plate. That will enable them to hold riders who are violating the rules of the road accountable.
Thank you. There was a picture that one of my family members sent me a couple months ago, and it'll never leave my head. And it was one of the mopeds in the middle of a stairwell in NYCHA houses. How have you guys resolved a lot of those kinds of issues? I know you were taken offline for a little while and now you're back, but there's a lot of things like that. Lee spoke about, the dangerous riding on the sidewalks, but now where are people going with these bikes? I guess you said the GPS maybe solves that, I guess.
I actually know the exact picture you're referring to. I saw that photograph myself, and I can definitely confirm that we retrieved that moped. So GPS does come in quite handy. I think with like any sort of micromobility company, you're always going to experience some sort of tampering with the moped. So like folks try to take it home because they love it so much. Luckily, a lot of the times we're able to retrieve them, but it happens.
Okay, just another question about the driver's licenses. When you go onto the app, does the app ask you for your driver's license number and all that information? Just to make sure I didn't know if I caught that or not.
Yeah, when you first download the app and you go through just the creation process, the creation of an account, you will submit a photo of your driver's license, a selfie, just so we can match the driver's license to the person who's taking that selfie in real time, as well as a credit or debit card.
And you said they have to take a selfie post-ride as well, or no?
Not post-ride. So the helmet selfie is at the beginning of every single ride.
So there's no real way of you taking your selfie, your helmet selfie and your driver's license and just not giving it to somebody else to ride on? Like somebody's there with you, here, go ahead. I did all this stuff, now you go jump onto the moped and do what you got to do?
We try to reinforce to our users, because this is a motorized vehicle that requires a driver's license, it's not only Revel's policy, but just New York State law that the person with the account is a person using the vehicle. So we call that unauthorized use. And our users are fully aware that that is not allowed on the platform.
Okay. Committee members, any other questions for either DOT or Revel? No questions, comments, concerns from the committee. Then I'm going to take one from a fellow board member. I know Larissa has her hand up. Larissa, go ahead. You can ask your question.
Hi, thank you for acknowledging me, and thanks for coming to the meeting regarding Revel. I have seen a lot of, since you've come back online, I have seen quite a few egregious acts by Revel riders. One day, there was a scooter parked across both bike lanes. It was a two-way bike lane. They were parked across both of them for a good long time. I've seen wipeouts on the Williamsburg Bridge, two of them. And I've seen them ride on the Greenway along East River. Thank you. It's good to know that we can report this. I am going to definitely utilize that. But my question is, after a rider loses his rights to the Revel scooters, is that permanent? Or is there a period of time that he can come back, or he or she can come back and get back on the app?
Thank you for the question. There are two types of suspensions. The first is a 7-day suspension for a minor infraction, and we have cases like riding on a bridge, a highway, a park, where it's a permanent suspension. So once you have been permanently suspended, there's just no going back on the platform.
Great, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Larissa. Does anybody else have any questions
I
from the committee?
I can't raise my hand, Paul.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry,
I just have
Michelle, go
one.
ahead.
No, it's not your fault. Well, I just want to say that I wish that anyone took the safety of how cars treat the roads as seriously as it seems that Revel is taking their scooter situation. We don't take cars off the road when pedestrians are killed, and that happens many more times this year than happened with Revel. And I personally think that the more we can pivot to smaller vehicles like this, the better, not just for safety, but also for the climate crisis that we're experiencing. So I hope that we can continue to mitigate any issues with Revel to keep them on the road, because fewer cars are better. And especially right now, some people don't feel comfortable in public transportation, and so here's a good alternative. So I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, just keep us in the loop. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have anything to say? DOT Revel committee? No? Going once? Oh, whoa.
Sorry, this is Will Carey again.
Sure.
Just as Jennifer mentioned, we are going to be going through a formal rulemaking process. We have this interim agreement in place with Revel, and during that process, I believe the community boards are notified. So there will be an opportunity for you to review those draft rules, to submit comments in writing, or if you so choose, to attend the public hearing. And we hope for that process to kick off this fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Is there, I know you said the process will begin this fall. Is there an actual timetable when you think those rules will be officially drafted by that will come back to committee at some point?
The process typically takes about 90 days,
Okay.
but that's from when you sort of officially submit the rules for public review. We are writing the rules. The commitment we're making is that we will start this process this fall.
All right.
So before the 21st of December, if you want to get technical about it.
All right. So for maybe for nice purposes, maybe we'll see you in 2021.
Yeah.
Susan, I know you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, I couldn't tell if it was up. Thank you.
Gotcha.
For the notification for the rule process, I know often many agencies send out many blast emails. Could I ask that you kind of personally notify us, either an agency or Revel, send us an actual email letting us know so we can participate?
Yes, we'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right. I want to thank DOT for coming on the call tonight, as well as Carol from Revel. You're more than welcome back anytime if you ever have any questions or concerns to committee here for Community Board 3 Transportation. Thank you for coming on tonight and telling us a lot more about the moped company. All right.
Thank you.
We're going to move on the agenda. You're more than welcome to stay on, but you might get bored a little bit with what we got to do next. So let's go with our next agenda item, which is district needs and our budget priorities. I sent the committee on Sunday night the final draft of our district needs statement, which we pretty much settled on in August. Excuse me, in August. I'm thinking last month. It was in August. Does the committee have any questions? I think we finalized it up pretty good. Do we need to take a look at it again? Should we pull it up again? Michelle, you want to pull it up just in case we want to take a look at it? If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, if we need to add or change up some grammatical things, because we are voting on it tonight.
People can continue to send grammatical and that kind of thing to the office after.
Okay, well done. So more content based, I guess,
Yeah.
for tonight. But I think we're good. I think we hammered it out pretty well over the summer. Put the additions we needed to put in, cleaned it up. I know I sent it out on Sunday. Did everybody receive it? I'm pretty sure everybody got it. All right. We'll pull that up and we'll just take a look at it, and then we'll go right to the budget priorities. All right. Thank you, Michelle. Transportation, what was it? Environment. Even better. I didn't think I was losing my eyesight. There we go. All right. I think everything was updated with the stats, right, Susan? I think we were good. I think Jim had updated everything. We just keep scrolling down. I think we got everything we needed to get out of this.
I'm sorry, I was saying correct before while I was muted.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I think we got everything. Yeah, let's delete that. All right, I think we're good. Committee, you have any final questions on the district needs statement? I think we were good from a couple months ago. All right, I think we're good. We'll come back to that. We'll vote on it together with budget priorities. Susan, I'm going to ask you if you could go into a little bit of the explanation of budget priorities for the committee, just so we can get a refresher, and even for the new members as well.
Sure, happy to. I'll read most of what you sent it out, I think, yesterday or today. So I'll go through most of it. Sorry, be more polite if I'm. So every year we vote on ranked lists of 25 expense priorities and 40 capital priorities for city agency budgets. Expense priorities are items like programming or staff for an agency, and capital are generally items that last at least 5 years and cost at least $35,000. The goal of voting on these priorities is to bring more services and money to Community Board 3 for needs that we decide are the most important. Therefore, if a program is well funded and not in danger, we would not make it a priority because we already have that service. And because these are agencies' priorities, they do not include funding for programs or items from city council funds or state or federal funds that might be administered by agencies. I won't go through all the research, but I'll just let you know all of these items have been well researched. They were put on an agenda to meet with the agencies. The committee chairs and office met with the agencies, went over all the questions. And we also, if there was a priority left over from last year, we look to see the answer from the city from last year. And all of the minutes from these meetings and all the answers from last year, it's all on our website under member resources. And after the committees rank and vote their priorities, they're collated to create one list for the board. The committee rankings are very important since there's a limited number of priorities and the bottom ones may fall off the final list. So all the committee priorities are collated together. The committee rankings are generally not changed, they're respected. And then we create one list and take the top 25 to send in. And if there's any questions on that?
I don't have any questions right now. Does the committee have any questions for Susan on that explanation? No. Okay, so first thing I'm just going to look at is that second bullet, Susan. Did FDNY let you know if any the firehouses needed backup generators?
and they never got back to us. So I'm going to assume that they don't. I think I actually remember from previous years that they didn't.
Okay, can we just take that off the list? At this
Take
point?
it off.
All right, let's delete
Make it
that.
easier for you.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go from 9 to 8. So Susan, just for the committee's purposes, I went to the NYPD budget consultation with Susan. They didn't really offer much, and they took their hit on the I guess the defunding part.
Right.
I want to thank Michelle for going to the DOT budget consultation. I think that was about a week or so ago. But the main people that took the hit was Department of Sanitation. Am I correct there, Susan?
Sure. They actually had 60% of their budget services reduced. The basket collection and residential collection was hit so badly that there was quite an outcry, and there's been some replacements, but nowhere near enough. We do get complaints about garbage. If you're in outdoor dining, you see piles of garbage next to the restaurants. We do feel we're going backwards on the RAT program because of the garbage that's absolutely all over, and now that we have outdoor dining, we need better garbage pickup, not worse. So sanitation has taken a tremendous hit. On top of it, I just found out today that some of their inspectors are being drafted for the open restaurants program. DOT has to inspect that, and DOT has a hiring freeze. DOT. And DOT has a hiring freeze, so they don't have enough inspectors. So the city is taking inspectors from other programs, such as sanitation. Sanitation was supposed to be inspecting dumping at David Crane's garden, and they told us they couldn't because their inspectors have been drafted. So it's serious. It's a really serious situation.
Sorry, David. Just before I go on, I just see some people still in the participant list. If you haven't signed in, please sign in. That way we have your attendance for the in the chat box. Just please sign in, and your relationship to the community. If you're a non-board member, please do so. Yeah, sanitation is taking a big hit. I think all of us live in different parts of the district. I live closer to 14th. I've seen the garbage start piling up by my neighborhood, and the rats are coming out, and they're looking like cats. It's starting to get rough around here, and with the anticipated potential of open dining and outdoor dining becoming permanent, this is only going to get worse. The garbage is going to get worse. Everything's going to get worse like that. I feel strongly about putting number 1 as the rat mitigation zone collection. That's just my opinion. I'll take opinions now from anybody. I do think we need to move the sanitation priorities closer to the top, though, considering that they just took such a big hit. But I am open to hear everything, and then I'll chomp it down after that. I'm here to free for all. Whoever wants to chime in, please chime in.
I'd agree with moving anything sanitation related up, since without sanitation pickups and overflowing baskets, that leads to the inevitable rats. So yes, if we can rank that higher, and then rat mitigation along with that, I think curbside, composting perhaps further down, syringe pickup, as important as it is, slightly less, but I'd agree with you, Paul.
If I could say, I think the litter basket, which I think that was Lee just referred to, I think that's really important also. I mean, that's a daily thing that we now see overflowing, and worse than ever, and impacts all the things that you've both mentioned.
So actually, Susan, two things are similar: rat mitigation, zone collection, and litter basket service. Which of those two do you think would have the bigger impact, or?
They both, they're both number one. I can't make it easy for you. They're totally different and both extremely important for the same reasons.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking those should be in the top two as it was. I didn't know how to rank them either way, one or two. But I do think they should be the top two. Does anybody disagree with the rat mitigation, zone collection, and litter basket service being either one or two? Because if not, we want to move those two up and we can figure out which one is at number one. In fact, this is what we'll do because we did it at Human Services Thursday night. We're going to just do, the blue raised hand feature and whoever outranks, whoever wins will get the number one, number two. We'll just run it down that way. So for rat mitigation zone, how many of you?
Can I ask one more question that would help?
Sure,
me decide?
David, go ahead.
Is the entire CD3 district designated as a rat mitigation zone?
Yes, there's a tiny little bit near the waterfront, but DOH has included it in. So yes, it is.
Okay, well, that doesn't make it easier.
Sorry.
All right, so we do agree that this is 1 and 2. So for rat mitigation zone collection, if you want that as number one, raise your hand on the raise hand feature. We got 1. We got 2. Okay. We've got 2 for rat mitigation zone. If you want litter basket service, if you want litter basket service as number 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Wait, Michelle, you're up, right? Lee, you're up. I'm up. Okay, litter basket service is number 1. That's going to be the win. Wendy, thank you. That'll be your 1. Okay. Does anybody feel strongly about something else moving up ahead of rat mitigation zone? No? Hey, Tariq, how you doing? All right. We're good with those 1 and 2. We're doing budget priorities. I know you just came up. All right, we're ranking them. Okay, so now we've got 1 and 2 right there. Nobody else feels stronger about any of the things on the bottom going ahead of rat mitigation zone. Going once, twice, 3 times sold. Wendy, you still have your hand up? You have a question, or you're good? Oh, you just do it.
My mistake. It's good.
It's okay. Okay. Anybody have any strong opinions about what number 3 should be out of the rest? Funding for completion of the pedestrian ramp program, curbside organics collection, curbside
What's curbside organics collection?
From the residences.
They have like a brown bin program that some buildings participate in. You would put your compostable items
it's
in.
compost.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
Okay, and it's been suspended for a year. David, since you knew a little bit about it, how do you think a lot of buildings do participate in this specific program?
A lot of the very larger buildings do. Not a lot of the small tenement style buildings do. A lot of the community gardens did, like mine did. We had a bins out front and a lot of people contributed, and I had to maintain it in a sanitary way, that kind of stuff.
I could say I live in a 100-unit building, and we did participate, and I would say it removed a lot of waste from the sanitation.
Okay.
It was extremely popular. We put ours out on the outside the gate so people could use it at all times, and I ended up having to we're picking it up, I believe it was 3 times a week at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's popular, but I wouldn't advocate for putting it to the top. Although I really liked it, there are higher priorities for me. I think the Of the ones that are here that I would say that I would drop toward the bottom, it would be the curbside organics and the curbside e-waste. So I would sort of say those two at the bottom. I mean, all these things are important in some sense. If that would help us, then we'd have 4 others also community compost program subsidy. So those 3 types of waste pickups, I would not consider for position 3 what we're talking about now. I would funding for completion of the ped ramps, the syringe litter patrol, and then the bottom one, which I don't actually fully understand what it's about, but it's rat mitigation. Are these the ones who would come by and say there's a problem with the way
Yes,
this garbage?
these are Department of Health. Yes, these are, the bottom one is Department of Health that actually goes out and inspects, works with buildings or whoever. I think they did with your garden.
My garden had numerous the properties around the garden who are contributing to the problem. Yes,
Those were
great.
Department of Health people.
Right, and they would come by periodically and give us an attaboy or give us advice or. I like.
I think you're breaking up, David.
But I don't know how impactful it truly is.
So I will tell you, it is a truly impactful. We worked with them constantly whenever people complain because they inspect. They can have inspectors issue violations. They work with both businesses and residents on how to mitigate. And then they also do the indexing to be able to rate the properties. The focus and the policy and the direction all come from this Department of Health initiative.
All right. I'm sorry. Ellen had her hand up. I just want to make sure she gets something to say something.
I was just going to say that my building had the brown bin, or participated in the brown bin program, and it's Chatham Green, so it has 400 units, and it was a really, really popular program that we were disappointed to see go. I think it reduced at least 50% of our waste. So it was a great program, and it's unfortunate that had to go. But I would think that I think the rat and litter issue would impact the residents here a lot more than the brown bin program.
All right, David.
So actually, I think I would advocate next for putting the pedestrian ramp program in if there's any chance that it's actually going to happen. There was progress in recent years. It has always been a very high priority of the board, and our main advocate for that is no longer with us. I would hate to see us drop it down by just neglecting it because none of us feel that we're affected. It just hasn't grabbed our attention. It is an important thing for a very vulnerable part of the population. There are entire long streets where you cannot find a curb cut to get onto the sidewalk, if you are using a wheelchair or a walker even. So there are entire series of blocks where you have to ride in the street. Well, my second one would be this Inspector's Neighborhood Interventions Program. That program, the way that they ran it was great. It was really helpful. They provided systemic advice, and they extended a lot of carrots as opposed to fines, right? It was not like other programs.
They didn't issue violations. They could, if things didn't improve, they could direct inspectors to go there and issue violations, but that wasn't their role.
It was this intervention, right? Neighborhood intervention, they did it, and I think they did it very well. So I would say I would like to see that one as number 4. So 3 and 4 being ped ramps, and 4 being the Inspector's Neighborhood Initiative.
Does anybody have anything they want to put higher than that? Does that seem like a good thing, how do people feel about the pedestrian ramps at number 3? Does anybody object to that going at number 3? Let's group them at 3 and 4, the inspector, neighborhoods, and we'll do the same thing. We'll run the vote. We'll do the little raise hand vote again so we can chop this down even more. So funding for the pedestrian ramp, number 3. We got 1, we got 2, we got 3. We got Michelle at 4, Ellen at 5. That's enough. That'll win it right there. That puts it at 3. We'll put funding for completion pedestrian ramp at 3. Does anybody feel stronger about anything else out for number 4 besides the neighborhood rat interventions, rat reduction interventions and initiatives?
I would like to make a plug for the syringe litter patrol. It is a public health matter, and it's very unique. And it apparently continues to be a problem in CB3.
I'm kind of with you on that, Ellen. I was about to pivot to that. That's what I felt strongly about too, was the syringe program. Let's move it up to 5 for now. We can determine between 4 and 5 the rat reduction and the syringes. So does anybody feel the rat reduction should go ahead of syringe patrol or the other way around? I think syringe patrol should go ahead of the rat reduction initiative. I know Ellen, you wanted at 4, right? So let's do the vote again for neighborhood rat reduction at 4. Raise your hands. David, Michelle. Anybody else raising their hands? Okay, is that Tariq and Felicia for rat reduction?
Yes.
David and Michelle. So that's Felicia, David, Tariq, Michelle. Is that 4? Is that the majority today? All right, that's at 4. We have to be comfortable with the ones that end up at the bottom, like could be potentially get kicked off the 25 for full board. So I think that's something we got to be extremely careful with. So syringes at 5. Can we do a raised hand there? Does anybody feel let me go back. Does anybody feel any of the rest? The curbside organics collection, e-waste collection, or the compost program subsidy should go ahead of syringes?
No.
We don't want to move the keyboards ahead of the syringes? No? Okay.
No.
Okay. Syringes are going to stay at 5. Now we can determine 6, 7, 8. Does anybody feel strongly about one or the other going to 6?
I almost feel we should at this point rank them from the bottom. Which ones would we least mind losing? Because I think we are going to lose 1 or 2, let's say, of these. Everyone understands that there's 25 allowed for the full board, and each committee is putting in a wish list. They're going to be collated into a single list. But if that list goes beyond 25, then 26 through the end would be dropped.
Right. That being said, I'm okay with e-waste going dead last.
I just have to ask, what's the, what, at say a big building that does actually collect that kind of stuff, where does that go now? Like if people are throwing out computers, where does it go? Does anyone know?
Sorry.
You're good, Ellen, go.
Oh, so I was going to, so if it's a lot of companies will have contractors with other private companies who are secondhand dealers in the market, so they will pick up as part of their business model. But for residential buildings, there's really no other method unless you're going to take it to a distributor somewhere that you know of. Not like New York City has had a very large e-waste collection program to begin with, because it was really never required by law. even though there's a New York State law on it, but there are no penalties for not doing it. So it's been kind of a free for all. But there's no coordinated effort besides the DSNY sponsored and funded programs, to my knowledge.
Yes, David. Thank you, Ellen.
So they don't even do, well, maybe they've just been canceling them, but I've been looking to bring in an old computer and a very old one. There seems to be nowhere to do it. They often would have a pickup, day at a farmer market or something. They haven't done it the whole time of COVID or since. This isn't connected to that, is it? This isn't that budget item.
Yeah, those, well, for the community programs, they tend to be DSNY funded related programs. And then for the private haulers, I think it's just not profitable to be in the model where you're just picking up 1 or 2 items. So they usually have these sort of business partnerships with large law firms, let's say, where you're collecting like 1,000 pieces of electronics or something.
Right, but this is the where they have a drop-off day at the farmer market.
That's usually Lower East Side Ecology Center. Usually,
Yeah.
I thought that it was I thought that was a city program.
Yeah,
It's a different thing.
They have a
Got it.
contract. They have a contract with the city.
Yeah, they're
That's
city funded for that.
Yeah, that's the community organization funded program. It is, the city is paying for the Lower East Side Ecology drop-off. Also, the residences, like in my building, we also, along with the organics, we also have ordinarily e-waste pickup also. So all of that is, city funded, whether it's at the residences and the city picks it up, or if you go to the farmer's market and Lower East Side Ecology Center runs the program, they're doing it with funding from the city.
And those are different budget items.
They probably are. I think that community program is the one funded by, yes, is funded by separately by the city.
Well, I guess then what I would say is that the curbside collection, it's less important if they do start up doing the, I didn't even know they did curbside collection of that. And maybe they only do it for buildings that participate. But anyway, there's another way to dispose of these things into that program through events, if they actually have those anymore. I guess I'm trying to say maybe this one is lower priority.
There has been one recently.
Okay. Where do we feel it should be 8? What should be the one that we know could just drop off at this point? Kind of beat this to death a little bit. I feel e-waste can go. I think e-waste can go at the bottom. I actually do think it could go at the bottom. Does anybody?
At the bottom.
Was that Lee? Were you saying something?
Yeah, I agree. The e-waste should be at the bottom.
Okay. Anybody disagree with e-waste being that last item? Okay, so now we can go between 7 and 6. I would actually put the compost program subsidy ahead of the curbside organics collection. That's the way I would look at it. I would put that at 6. Does anybody feel different?
Again.
Can I disagree with you?
Sure. Go ahead, Ellen.
The brown bin system is actually a much larger program than the community-based program. However, the community-based program does do more education. So let's say let's use the Ecology Center, for example, as an example. So they collect within a closed loop system, and so everything is much controlled, but it's a much smaller collection. However, there is an education component to it, and it feels more local. The brown bin system is much larger. It's a full direct DSNY program, and it gets hauled upstate. in a much larger quantities and much larger sort of, compost system. So, I mean, the brown bin system, I think in terms of numbers, impacts a lot more people and takes away a lot more waste, assuming that they do what they're supposed to do, bringing organic waste and turning it into compost.
I forgot Ellen used to work for Ecology Center.
Yes.
We had the wild card the whole time. Flip them. Flip them. Go ahead. Let's go. Put it. Shit, I'm sold. She's not English.
So Ellen, you've almost convinced me. I was going to advocate for the other one because, in some theoretical sense, since they collect, since these community composts collect at the farmer market, I could haul my stuff over there. But actually, I'm not going to save my garbage for a full week and then bring it over to the farmer market and drop it off. So I really, if you believe that the brown bin program, even though it's only in a limited number of large buildings predominantly, but if you believe that diverts a lot more of the waste stream into a effective composting program, then I'm all for putting it first. Yeah, I am.
I'm convinced. I'm for it being at 6. Anybody want to flip them, or are we good with that?
That's
Good. All right. I think that was pretty good. That was pretty painless.
May I add one additional point for the brown bin system? Once it was, before the budget cut, you can just sign up for your building online, and they'll send someone to assess your building and whether or not your building can meet the needs for brown bin. And there are many smaller buildings and also single residences, homes that participate in that program. So it's not just for large buildings. They had a long wait list for a while, so it took them quite some time to meet everyone's needs. But I thought that they had worked through that list already, but now with this budget cut.
Yeah, I do know smaller buildings my size that are co-ops where they have joined with the program. Buildings like mine with commercial landlord, my landlord is never going to implement it. Sad for me. Can we maybe add a sentence here about why it's needed, if you can come up with one quickly, Ellen, because it just says it's been suspended and should be restored. Can you put a sentence about why it's important?
I think because of the much larger scale impact, and it's very visible because it's a direct DSNY program. So they promote it as part of the recycling programs, for example, right? It's on the website, they have all the logos and everything. So it has that visibility that goes with it. However, what it doesn't have is that community close-knit component and that extra, that extra sort of added education and also close loop aspect that the community compost program has.
Cool. How about impact, if we could add a clause after it? Impact, large-scale impact in diverting or organic materials from the waste stream, from the solid waste stream. Is that the right words for it? I believe it is. In diverting organic materials from the solid waste stream. If that's accurate, then I think this makes it a little stronger. How much do you want to bet that this is number 26 on the combined list?
Well, now I'm just thinking about it since we've been talking about it this much. Do we want that to go higher than that 6?
I did, but we kind of voted on that already.
I'm open to renegotiating this. We haven't locked this in yet. We haven't voted it in. If does anybody want to move curbside organics up higher than where it's at right now at 6? David, you said it's a possibility. Where do you want it at? You wanted it to switch with syringes?
One higher, yeah.
Alan, how you feeling about that? Because you discussed syringes before, so should syringes go ahead of the organics collection program, or should it stay the same?
You know what? If the syringes dropped off, I would be just as upset.
Can I make a comment about the syringe program?
Sure.
It sounds very important. I never heard of it before this month. I've never seen or I've never had contact with anyone from there. So I don't know how big or impactful it was. I'd say in our neighborhood, in the parks, it is the Parks Department staff that are cleaning up syringes. We also have a lot of cleanup from harm reduction nonprofits. So it sounds really important. It probably should be very big and very important. But like I said, I never even heard of it.
Yeah, now that I see that it's DSNY, I understand that. I pick up the syringes in the community garden. I've never had a patrol come by and help.
So we'll put you high up on the list.
All right. I am willing to see curbside organics collection move up one spot higher, at least. Anybody disagree with that? Considering what we just heard about the DSNY syringe program or lack thereof. All right, I can. Let's move curbside organics up and move syringes below it. Do we want to make any other moves? Is there anything that's glaring that we should move up? All right. That being said, let's. I just need to do the final vote for it, right, Susan? I don't need to do a separate
Right, we
vote.
can do one final vote for this and the district needs.
And then I can close out and we can adjourn. All right.
Exactly. And if I could just ask before, if you could, I guess, Michelle, send me the district needs and the priorities without waiting for the minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Will do. Thank you. All right. So that being said, I'm going to close this right now. Are we good on this order? Because we're going to vote on both district needs and budget priorities. I think we did this pretty well, pretty painless. We're good. Nobody feels strongly about anything else going up higher or lower or anything like that. All right. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Wendy, you're going to roll call us out, and that's our vote on district needs and budget priorities. And then we'll adjourn.
Okay. Paul Rangel,
Yes.
Michelle Coopersmith,
Yes.
Lee Berman,
Yes.
David Crane,
Yes.
Felicia Cruikshank,
Yes.
Wendy Lee, yes. Ellen Lowe,
Yes.
Tariq Ramos.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. I don't think I need a motion to adjourn, do I? Do I need a motion to adjourn? Not really?
You could just say, let's vote on the motion to adjourn. I mean,
Let's vote.
when it's obvious in the point of the business we're at, and I think it's actually on the, it's on our agenda as an item,
Right,
or it is
right.
at the full board, then it's already a motion. You say, okay, if there's no other business, let's vote on the motion to adjourn. And then it's time.
All right. As a motion to adjourn, we good, everybody? Goodbye. Good night. Have a good week.
Good night.
Good night.
We're going to have a packed November agenda. I'm just letting everybody know. Yeah, tonight. Thank you.